Hey everyone, welcome back to round 5 of the FIA Manufacturers Championship. We're starting in pole position. We managed to finally get pole against some very fast drivers. In second place is the guy who we've had some great battles with. We've got a lot of respect for him, and I was glad he was behind me on the grid, as I feel comfortable when there's someone who you know and trust in racing behind you on the grid. In P4, Corvette there. In P5, a Nissan GTR. And in P6 we've got an NSX, and in P7 we have Cobra M5, I think it is Cobra M5 in the same car as we were in, a yellow FT-1 there, and then we've got the RCF in P8. Really enjoyable races, everyone. I hope you do watch this to the end. We need to get P1 in this race. It is essential. If we can get P1, we might be able to qualify for that top 24 race, where only 2 drivers from each manufacturer are allowed to enter, and it's a longer race, and I really want to bring that to the channel. And I knew that going into this race I had to pretty much get the win. We pretty much stood up to the pressure in qualifying, got ourselves at the front of that grid, and got P1 in qualifying, which was essential for that. So I was feeling really happy with myself for doing that. It's the first time I've got pole in a race where you've got the competition that is in this race. You can see now down to P16 there's only a 1.9 second gap to ourselves, all the way down to P16, and then we're moving to the back of the grid and we get to 2 seconds behind there. I mean, it's kind of expected on this track with it being such a long lap. I think 2 minutes 16, 2 minutes 15 lap time, depending on your fuel obviously, 2 minutes 17, etc. So the times were going to be a lot more spread out, but still P20 there, 2.9 seconds behind. So the field is a lot closer together. We're going to start this race. We've got the 2 different cameras on board. We've got the camera from the guy behind us, who I really like racing against. I have a lot of respect for him, and I can trust him when he's behind me. And I think I like it when it's like that, because you kind of know that someone's not going to make a stupid move. And I knew that I could give him space if he needed it and stuff. So top right hand corner we've got the replay camera, and the races all go. First thing we need to do is try and get through this turn 1 as cleanly and as effectively as possible. My car is very strong through the fast corners, although the RCF behind us is a very fast car down the straight compared to ours. It's got a lot more power in it, so what we need to do is make sure we're getting through the fast corners really well, so we can then build up a little bit of a gap for the straight. So you can see he's in the slipstream straight away. He's concentrating on staying in that slipstream, and we're coming through to the first really fast corner, where our car tends to have a better ability to hold on to the line, and you can see straight away our car has a real strong ability through them fast corners. Now we're coming up to the corner where it changes direction. This is one of the reasons why I couldn't race the 8 o'clock race, because it came on, I think it was like 7:15, half 7, something like that. And if I would have raced the 8 o'clock race, it would have given me half an hour to learn the track. I'd never been on this track, so I decided to do the 9 o'clock race and give myself a little bit of time to practice the track. And I was quite surprised we managed to get pole with such a short amount of practice, possibly because of the way we did our practice. We didn't worry about going for a fast lap. All that we did was just drive around the track, constantly drove around it, trying to get some race consistency, and it seemed to really help me out in terms of just being able to put a good lap in, and we managed to get ourselves onto that pole position. And as you can see there, that's where our car was really strong, was going through that really fast corner. We were able to carry so much speed through the fast corners, but through this corner I had to be really careful with this car I was in. It just wanted to spin out at the slightest bit too much pressure on the accelerator. So you can see I'm being really gentle on them corners there. There's another corner where you have to be fairly gentle also on the throttle, so I'll point that out when we get there. As you can see now, the RCF behind us, and going into this corner. I really do enjoy this track. This is one of my favourite tracks on the game, I have to say. I enjoy the flow, and especially with this longer version, I do like this version of this track. It kind of gets rid of that chicane, which you kind of have to cut and really push in a weird way. I like that that's missing. I like the way they've done this track with this longer version. I really do enjoy it, and it kind of suited my car in some areas, but then we had the straight where the RCF was definitely stronger and could gain. So you can see I'm going out that slipstream, although he doesn't seem interested in following our slipstream, so I just slowly work our way back over to the racing line, and then getting ourselves into the corner nice and early. This car had a really strong ability to hold a really tight line through that fast corner and then get on the power really early. As you can see, we managed to pull out a little bit on the guy in second place. I kind of guessed that this guy would be saving fuel though, but I wanted to try and break the slipstream, but it was going to be such a hard task as that RCF is so fast down the straight. So See, he's still in the slipstream. We go into this really fast left-hander, and again you can see we can hold a really tight line through that corner. The guy behind does that really well that time, and he's actually not lost too much on that corner. But you can see in the top right-hand corner, all 4 cars still very close together. We're all within about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds of each other, and driving really well at this point. And this is a corner where I have to be really careful, and I think it's just everyone has to be careful. It's a corner where I just wanted to be really cautious on, and then on the exit we didn't get the best exit. I got a little bit nervous as the rear tyres were on the curb, and I didn't want to put the full power down, so I went a little bit defensive. He saw that and kind of backed out of that, and just, I think he's probably fuel saving. So at this point I start fuel saving because I'm thinking he's going to be saving fuel. I need to do a little bit just to ensure that I'm not going to get totally destroyed in the pit. So you can see I'm using fuel mixture 2 through that corner, and then I decide to go fuel mixture 6 at the end of the straight, and then back down. I move it up slightly, I think, on the acceleration zone. You can see now staying in 6, so we can put our power down fairly easily, but then I'm going to have to go to 1, as you can see there. He's obviously got more power, and then I kind of did that a little bit late. I should have went into fuel mixture 2, but if we looked in the background, you would have seen P3 lost P3, and we're going to see how he did that. So going into this real tricky corner, this is why I was being so cautious for his corner. A little bit too much on the power. His rear end goes, he slides, tries to save it. He's facing the wrong way on the track. He spins it round, so you can see him spinning it round. His car is ghosted, so he doesn't need to worry. And then he goes to get back on the power, and he spins back around when he goes to go on the power. So he's down into pretty much last position, so that's his race over with. So it's just a battle between the top 3 now to try and battle it out to see if who will get the win in this race. So you can see there he finally gets going, and I think he's into the last place now, and I don't think he's too happy because he got a penalty as well, even though he was spinning around like that for how long. I think they need to fix that issue where it still gets a penalty. But now you can see there, going into the tight corner, he had a little look on that inside. I gave him the space that he needed, and he got a little bit loose on the power, and that enabled us to stay in the lead and hold this P1 position. It was a risky strategy, really. I was so tempted at this phase to just let him pass and try and use his slipstream to save some fuel, as I just knew for a fact that Corvette in 3rd place there was just probably sitting saving fuel. That car is able to short shift and save fuel. I think it's been adjusted slightly in the recent updates to adjust the amount that it does save, but it's still better than a lot of the other GR3 cars, etc. And it's just able to keep the speed and save fuel. So going through the real fast left-hand corner, again we're able to pull out a little fraction there going through these corners, and then he's in our slipstream, so he's going to start closing into the rear of our car. Going through to this real fast left hand corner, you can see I don't really need to go defensive at that point, so I'm going to put the fuel mixture into level 6, start saving some fuel through this corner. You can see him gain quite a bit when I do that, but then because we're able to take such a tight line, I'm going to get them back into fuel mixture 1, so we saved a bit of fuel and not really lost any time through that corner. And we're going to do the same thing again going into this tight corner, back into fuel mixture 4. I could have gone higher, but I just didn't want to start messing around with stuff when I was going into the braking zone. And then we're going to stay on level 4 for a bit, just so we haven't got too much power. So I was trying to be really cautious of them rear tyres and save them a bit in the traction zones, to give these tyres a little bit more wear. And you can see the guy behind us there, he had a little bit of a moment then getting on the power, nearly lost it on the curb, but he got away with that. And the Corvette is putting him under a lot of pressure now as well. You can see there in the distance, as we're still saving fuel, I felt comfortable to save fuel at this point because I knew my car was so strong on the exit of this corner. Look at the difference. I was able to save fuel and keep the power going through that corner. So again, I'm trying to save as much fuel at this point as I physically can, because I know that he will be saving fuel as well. And I had a feeling he'd probably be saving more because he's got the slipstream to do that. Back into fuel mixture 1. Again, that area there with the traction, I had to be so cautious, and I'm going to have to go a little bit defensive here. I can see that he's behind me. I think maybe he might have been saving a bit of fuel behind this stage. I'm going to go to the inside just in case he wanted to make a move, and then I've got to just try and make sure I stay a reasonably tight line, get on the power reasonably well there, and we've managed to stay in the lead again and cover off that position. So again, a little bit of a threat into that corner. He looked like he was able to just take the exit from the corner lead into that a little bit better than what we was, and start putting some pressure on. But you can see how close this is now between 3 of us. We've got 3 different cars and 3 very close cars racing together. You can see there now the Corvette really does get a good exit off that corner, I've noticed, and he was able to then probably short shift and save fuel. As you can see there, I'm going to go a little bit defensive. What I do now is I put myself pretty much in the middle of the track, because he's not going to then be able to go to the inside, and then he can't. It gives myself a reasonable entry into the corner, so we get a reasonable entry. Tyres are taking a lot of stress at this point. You can see them bright front tyres. 4 laps of this track, 5 laps, etc., will just kills the tyres on this on any car, GR3 car, and we had to really attack that curve. We got a little bit loose. So what at this point I decided to do was just fuel save and let him past. I wanted to do that because I wanted to try and save some fuel behind him. You can see that I just slot him right behind him and try and make sure that the Corvette can't get behind me. So I get back on fuel mixture 1, get in his slipstream, and then just make sure that that Corvette can't make a move on me, as I wanted to save some fuel behind him now. So again, straight into fuel saving, and this was a strategy I thought I had to do because I knew he would have been able to save it in the opening lap. So I wanted to do it for a few laps, but then he makes a little error. He got on the power just a fraction too soon, and again that corner was catching people out. It nearly caught me out, and it caught him out on that lap there. So we'll go back, have a little look at that, and have a little look at the move where we let him past, and then you'll see. So you can see I go over to the right and I instantly take off the fuel mixer, which gives him a boost in speed, and then I stay wide, let him get past, and then I just tuck in just behind the rear of his car to make sure the Corvette can't get past as well, and we're straight back into the slipstream. So going into his corner, he ran a little bit wide there, unsettled the car slightly, and then going into the braking zone, he takes it all normal at this point, but you're going to see how delicate you have to be on the throttle here. You can see he goes a little bit wide there, which means he's got to put steering input and accelerate at the same time, and that's what causes it. As he's putting the steering input in, the rears just give up and it slides out, which is a shame because I really enjoy racing that guy in these races. I have great battles with him, and unfortunately now we're not really in a position to save fuel now as much as what I would have been able to, because we haven't got a slipstream. So we've got the Corvette who's had double slipstream for 4 laps and probably been saving a lot of fuel right behind us, and I knew this was going to be an issue with the pit stop, so I thought I'm going to have to save fuel through this phase still to try and make sure that come the pit stop we're not going to get like 3 seconds behind them or anything. So you can see I'm still saving fuel into fuel mixer 3, trying to save as much fuel as I can for the pit stop. We're going to do the longest stint on this run. Obviously 9 laps is not an equal split, so the aim was to do 5 laps on the first split and 4 laps on the second split. So you can see now the Corvette behind us getting really close in the braking zones. You can see he did seem to be able to carry a lot more speed through this final corner, where you need the speed for the straight. So you can see he got a much better exit that time. So I'm going to fake it, I'm going to go in the pits. So I thought, I was trying to get him to go in the pits and he didn't fall for it, so it was worth a try, but we stayed that inside, and I was fairly confident at this point that he wasn't going to be able to go around the outside with that car. This Toyota was just so much easier at carrying speed through the fast corners. You can see there I'm able to hold that inside line and actually pull away from him. We actually gained quite a bit on him there, and we've got the lead up to nearly half a second, pulling away from him. So I was fairly confident with the car in terms of that corner. He wasn't going to be able to make a move, because if he was ever on the outside of us, he just wasn't going to be able to hold the car around the outside. The speed that I can carry on the inside lines with this car is just so good that in them corners it was just such a benefit to be in this car. But for the straights, that Corvette was a lot stronger, and obviously with the fuel saving, I know how good the Corvette is in compared to the Toyota. It's a much better car at fuel saving. You can see it's easy to tell why, because if you look at the rev range that I have to change gear on the in-screen cockpit, if you have a little look, it goes up to like 9,000 RPM when I'm changing gear, and I'm short shifting a bit there, 8,000, I'm still short shifting, and it's going really high. Where that Corvette, you don't reach them type of revs. You can short shift halfway on the bar and you're only hitting like 5,000-6,000 revs, so it doesn't use as much fuel, and that's why you're able to save, because the torque of the car is just really strong. So you're able to save that little bit more fuel, and obviously he had the slipstream for the first 2 laps as he fell back a bit behind there, you can see now. So I'm going to try and do a bit more fuel saving before we go in the pits on lap 5, because I know that he's going to probably have a little bit more fuel saved than what we are. So we need to really just give ourselves an opportunity to not get jumped in the pits when it comes to obviously this lap that we're going to pit. And I did have a feeling that he was going to be able to get very close to us in the pit, so I did want to try and push and get that to a second lead. And we're up to 1 second now. In the gap between us and the guy behind is 1.2. He seemed to make a little error on the exit of that corner, which lost him a bit of time. And then going through this really fast chicane, my car was fairly strong through there. You can see I managed to gain about a 10th on him on that one corner. Going into the final corner, I know that he's a lot stronger than me in that Corvette going through this last corner. I tried to get on the power reasonably early. We could have got on the power a lot earlier than what we actually did. We're going to dart off into the pits. We've got a second lead, and this is a pit stop battle now. So you can see the 2 pit crews working on the cars in that top screen there now. We're going to put our fuel all the way to the diamond, if not a little bit past it. Let's just see what we do. We actually go past it a bit. He gets out of the pits a little bit early, and he's actually jumped us in the pits. So we've got a real race on our hands now, and we need to try and get back past him as soon as possible. Luckily for us, he wasn't able to build up enough of a lead in that pit stop to actually get ahead of us in terms of enough so we wouldn't be able to get the slipstream. So that was a real key thing. I was able to stay behind him in the slipstream and still do a bit of fuel saving, because my aim at this point was thinking I'm going to need to do a bit of fuel saving because I want to run aggressive on the last 2 laps, as I wasn't 100% convinced that he had put enough fuel in at this stage, because I knew that he had saved fuel. I could see when we went in the pits he had saved more fuel on us. It was 11% more, but I know that when you're doing your own pit stop, the diamond goes on based on the driving you had done in the first stint. So if he had been saving a lot of fuel in that first stint, he's then going to be, that diamond's going to represent that fuel that he had been saving in terms of fuel mixture. So I know that my diamond a minute, that's why I went slightly ahead of that diamond, and that's why it was, when we came out of the pits, it was slightly over the laps that we needed. But I still knew that I needed to do some saving so that for the last 2 laps or lap and a half or whatever, I could go aggressive on the M1 mixture throughout the whole lap. So that's why we obviously overfilled a bit, and then obviously still doing a little bit of fuel saving, you can see there, into fuel mixture 2, just to try and give us the ability at the end of the race to really put this guy under pressure. As I know, I had a strong feeling that he would be slightly light on fuel and would maybe need to do some fuel saving in that car. As I know that obviously it is a good car at fuel saving in general, it's not as strong as it used to be. As I'm pretty sure in one of the past 2 patches or something, they've done something so that the fuel saving isn't as drastic in certain cars, which is a good thing, because it was kind of destroying some races where you'd see the same car always out on track. But now, although it's still reasonably strong on fuel saving, it's not as good as it used to be. So you can see we're staying in slipstream. We're not really worrying about putting the guy under too much pressure at this stage. Going into this corner really early, I actually went into that corner a little bit too early and then compromised my exit a fair bit. You can see there he starts pulling away, and then you see the power on that Corvette as it slowly pulls away and is able to just build that lead back up through the power on the straights. But I was fairly okay with that, because we're coming into the area where my car is really strong, and straight away in the braking and the initial entry into that corner, we're able to gain over 2 temps on him in 1 corner, and that puts us straight back into the slipstream, quite strongly in the slipstream, and we're able to just concentrate on following his car through this section, staying in his slipstream as much as possible, and still trying to do a little bit of fuel saving whenever we can. You can see there into fuel mixture 2. I don't need to do massive fuel saving, and fuel mixture 2 will only lose you a little bit of time, and in the corners it won't really lose you anything if you do it right. So you can see there we're saving fuel and not really losing any time to him, and because we're in the slipstream, we're not really losing much time down the straights, and it also enables you to get quite good entries and exits from corners when you're in fuel mixture 2. You can see you end up getting a little bit more confident where you can put the power down, so you don't lose as much traction in the power zone. So it's quite a nice fuel mixture to run in the corners when you don't need to save so much fuel, but you might want to save a little bit for them last few laps. So going through these really fast corners again, we're staying within that like 6 to 8 temps range of him, not putting him under massive amounts of pressure, but I know where my car is strong. This is one of the corners, and like the exit, I tend to gain a lot on the exit of this corner. You can see there we've gained again, and we're really into a slipstream. So again, I'm going to put that into fuel mixture 2. I'm trying to stay calm at this point. I really know I need the win in this race. The win is essential. I have to win this race to be able to get into that top 24 stars race. So at any opportunity, if I get an opportunity, I've got to take it and just go for it. As long as we keep it clean, it's always essential to make, I know racing incidents happen, but in general I do try and keep my moves fairly clean. So going through this really tight left hand corner, trying to get on the power reasonably early. I want to stay in this slipstream as much as possible so that when we need to make a move, we can make it. And at this stage I was thinking, has he got enough fuel left for the last stint, for the last lap to go aggressive? I know I have. You can see there I've got 2.5 laps of fuel. So at this stage I'm thinking I can probably run 1 fuel mixture to the end now and have enough fuel left. I don't really think I need to do any fuel saving. I've pretty much done my fuel saving now, so I'm going to concentrate on seeing if we can get past this guy. So running into one fuel mixture, going into this fast left hand corner, I know I can gain on him here. It's a strong area for me. He runs a little bit wide on the initial turn into that corner, and he puts the power down reasonably early, but you can see his car starting to run a little bit wide. He goes over the curb and he's lost a bit of time there, so this is an opportunity now. I'm going to just stay flat on that accelerator, I'm not going to lift, and then this point I'm going to stay to the left hand side, and then I've got to be careful not to hit the wall, so I give him space on that right, I stay to left. He's trying to shut that door on me, but I'm not going to let him do that. You can see I'm pretty much side by side at this point, going into the entry of the corner. I'm going to give him plenty of space on the outside, staying nice and tight on the inside, give him loads of room down that right. I even give him room on the exit there to make sure if he's running down that right hand side, and we've done that move. A really enjoyable overtake, and I had to go for it. I had no option. You can see it now from the replay. He runs a little bit wide going through that corner. We're in the slipstream. I have to go to the left hand side at this point, and I was putting a lot of steering angle to make sure I could make that move there. We've got the run on him on the outside. You can see there we're getting close to being side by side, both cars trying to give each other. He was trying to give me a little room as he could, but he raced it fair, clean driving. We both give each other respect through that corner, and the Toyota's so good at holding an inside line. I knew that I could do that on that corner, and we get ourselves back into the lead with just over a lap and a half to go now. So, and the good thing is we can run that one fuel mixture to the end, so I felt like I could defend this. He's going to try and make a move on us. He's trying to get aggressive and fighting back. Whether he had the fuel to do that, we're going to find out now. Going through the real fast corner there. Luckily he's not in a position really to make a move into this fast corner. You've got to be very close on this corner, and this is a corner where my car is really strong, so we take that wide initial entry point and then come in at a faster angle. You can see where that was gaining, and look at the exit speed I get from doing that, the amount of speed out of the corner I get from doing that better line. It's really important to go into the initial part quite wide and then get on the accelerator late, a little bit earlier, because you can just take such a tighter line through the corner once you've done that. And then getting on the power through these corners, I felt fairly comfortable because I had been using the lower mixture in the traction zones. My tyres felt like they were in good condition at this point, and you can see on the previous lap we actually got the fastest lap of the race, so we've got pole position, fastest lap of the race, and we're in the lead. This is looking really good to get ourselves into that top 24 race, which is what we wanted. This is our first ever attempt at trying to do it in the Manufacturer series. We did start it a while ago, but obviously the issues with the T500 wheel stopped us being able to do that. So we've got to keep this clean and keep our car on the track and keep our speed up for this one final lap now. As the guy behind's actually dropped back a little bit there, going into the acceleration zones, I'm going to pull out that corner and really give it everything now down the straight. Obviously, I've got no worries with the fuel. You can see there we've got 1.2, 1.3 laps of fuel, so we're 100% confident. What I've done there, I saved enough fuel for this last stint to really push and drive aggressively all the way to the end. And it looks like he's falling back a bit now. You can see in the mirror, in the top left-hand corner, he's pretty much lost our slipstream. So at this point I was thinking, has he got to save some fuel, because it doesn't look like he's able to run the full fuel mixture to the end like I am. So it looks like I've done a good strategy with the way I've played this out, saving the fuel to the end. You can see in the top right hand corner on that replay camera there's a bit of a gap. It's about a second, it's over a second now, and now we're getting to the corners where my car is really strong and we're actually gaining even more there. You can see it went up to 1.2 seconds briefly. Whether he's got, I don't know whether he's got to save some fuel at this point. You can see we're 100% okay going into these last final corners. I was really nervous at this point because I know that I've got to keep the car on the track. I've got to get this win. If I don't win this race, the chances of getting that top 24 stars race is very, very low. So we're going to keep pushing and just hope that we can do it. So pushing through these corners, not worrying at this point. I wasn't really looking in the mirror at this point, but looking back, he's adding to fuel save. You can see straight away he's dropped back massively. He's now 1.4, 1.8 seconds or something like that behind, and it looks like he's falling further and further back. So I was right in what I thought at the pit stop, that after the pit stop, that he hadn't put enough fuel in. I think that he had under fueled too much to try and get the jump on us. We did the right strategy. We actually did it right for a change. We got it pretty much everything spot on, and we were able to drive to the end. You can see now we're over 3 seconds in the lead, where he's doing some massive fuel saving. You can see on his screen he's having to lift into the corners. He's not really driving anywhere near as aggressive as he was before. He's obviously starting to come under real threat with that fuel, and we're able to just drive flat out now to the end, just concentrate on not making a mistake. I didn't want to start lifting off too much, because when you start lifting off you start making mistakes. So you can see I'm driving fairly aggressively, but not so much that I lose concentration on what I'm doing. Going through to the final corner now, we're going to go over the start straight, and I was really happy at this point because I thought, you know, this could have got me into that top 24 stars race. So I'm extremely happy. I'm driving side by side, and we go over and take the checker flag, and we get the win in this top split race. Really happy with that. It's probably one of my better performances in the FIA races. We managed to, and you can see we managed to win by over 5 seconds. So he had to do a lot of, if you looked at his car, he was saving a lot of fuel on that last stint there, on that last stretch of road. He had run out, I think, going over the line. So I was correct in what I thought with the fuel. So let's have a little look at the table for the top 24 stars. At the end of that race, we're up to P19 in the top 24, and also we're just behind the next Toyota car there. So GT Bokomomo took the top spot, just a fractionally above us, but obviously we had that terrible race where we didn't get put in the top split, and obviously the race where we got took out. So we had a lot more potential, but we still managed to get in that top 24 stars race. So I cannot wait to bring that race to you guys. Obviously I'm going to be in the Toyota 86 GR.3. It's a 21 lap race at Brazil. I'm not too confident of that track anyway. It's not one of my stronger tracks. I do enjoy the track, but it's not a stronger track. But I'm a little bit worried about that car around that track with the lack of straight line speed it has. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think that we're not going to have the best straight line speed. We're going to have the cornering ability, but through the straights, I'm not 100% convinced our car's going to be the strongest. But we will do our best, and I cannot wait to bring that video to you guys to showcase this top 24 stars race. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and hit that notification button so you don't miss any videos when I upload them. Thanks again for watching, everyone.